Well, now, in any way, have you ever wondered and asked yourself, hey, what would happen if you hit your million mark? Or what would happen in your life as far as the finances are concerned when you hit 1 million mark? You know what? Have you ever heard of people saying, well, I made a video about that. You can go check it out some old times back. Yeah. And I said, hey, there's some crazy things that happens once you hit 1 million mark. This is what we say. The first million usually make it alone, and it's the most stressful one. How many here? How long did it take you to hit your first million? You can tell me on the comment section, okay? It is usually the hardest, but the moment you hit your first, making the second, the third, I mean, it's become the easiest. Okay, it's like the content creators. You find like it can take you like more than 1 year to hit your first 1,000 subscribers, but the moment you do that, you get 2,000 within a week. So the same case happens. So today on this particular video, I'm going to share with you 4 things that happens once you hit your million mark, and it's gonna be interesting. This is good, Joseph, in case you're watching me for the first time, and I make videos about investment and anything related to that. So take your time, make sure that you subscribe, leave me a comment on the comment section, asking a question if you have any, because I go through all the comments and I read those questions and I make a video about them and I answer those so that everyone can benefit out of your question. Number one, first thing that happens when you actually hit your first million. Have you asked, why does the wealth multiply once I hit my first million? This is why. Number one, you usually have what we call a networking. Networking. What does it mean? Okay, let me ask a very simple question. How much are you worth right now? Okay, fine. You don't have to say it on the comment section. That's a rhetorical question. Keep it to yourself. That's very private. So, how much are you worth? Just write it somewhere on a paper. Hey, you're worth 10,000. You're worth 100,000. Whatever the amount of money, just put it aside. Now, let me ask a question. Let's say you say you are worth 100,000. So now let me ask a question. Do you have a person who happens maybe to be your friend, and well, they have never told you they are worth 100,000, but based on the looks, you definitely know this guy is worth 100,000, probably like you or slightly above like you. Can you be able to identify that? Thank you. See, when you are worth a certain amount of money, by default, you attract people who are worth that amount of money. See, the moment you have a million, you tend to hang around with somebody who either have a million or more than a million. And that networking is where now the thing starts. That's where the magic starts to happen. Let's say you hit your first million, and definitely, most of the people will never tell you that I'm worth a million. But if I pull up with a car, and of course, if you look at that car, definitely this car is worth more than a million. It means definitely I've ever seen a million in my life, isn't it? It's the easiest way to tell this dude has ever seen a million. Are we together? Or maybe other thing, if I tell you, oh, this is my property, this is a piece of land, this is blah, 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 or what have you, definitely this land is worth more than. So it means I've ever seen a million. True or not true? See, now, the moment you hit a million, it happens that you get to network with people with similar amount of money. And then this is when you bring the expertise on board. You find somebody saying, hey, you know what, if you have a million, by the way, you can go to China, import, let's say, sneakers or shoes. Or guess what? You can actually import the baby, baby clothing or baby items or whatever. Hey, by the way, you can actually be able to buy a certain container of, say, serviettes or, say, tissue paper. Like, you get opportunities. Somebody be like, you know what? I mean, if you just take a million, throw it in an MMF, you have yourself like more than 10,000 each and every month. And you're like, oh my goodness. So that means that means that I can take a million, throw it in a money market fund. I get myself 14,000, 12,000, 13,000 without me doing nothing. And my million is still there. If I get an opportunity, I can be able to withdraw it. So now, when you have that amount of money, you tend to negotiate with people, you tend to have networking, and you actually expound and get opportunities. Because let's be sincere, let's say you are worth 5,000, with all the due respect, only 5,000, and you have somebody here worth a million or more. Then they're conversating about, let's say, purchasing a certain piece of land and maybe leasing and doing da 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 da. So that conversation will never entice you, because hey, they're speaking the language that you can't, they're actually wearing the shoes that you can't wear. So definitely, even if you get some ideas, you can't benefit out of those ideas because you don't have the amount of money to execute whatever they are talking about. Am I making sense? So what happens when you hit a million? You get to network with people who already have hit that a million. Okay, fine. You don't walk around asking people, are you worth a million? I would like to be a friend. No, you can just tell. See, money is so silent. And listen, the only gender that is so powerful that they can tell you have money is the ladies. They can just make, even if you pretend, they can just tell this dude has cash. And also the wealth people, they can just look the way you behave, the way you talk, the way you articulate issues, the way you carry yourself, the way you solve problems. They can just tell, you know what, you don't have to tell me you have a million in your bank account. I can just definitely tell this guy is worth something. Even what you wear, how you behave, and all those kind of things, it can just tell you actually worth a million. Another thing that happens, you know, with the moment you hit a million is something called the power of compound. Okay, for example, let's use a very simple example. If you have 100K, throw it in an MMF. I'm going to use MMF as an example. This gives you like 1,300 a month. 1,300 in a month. If you have yourself a million, throw it in a money market fund, guess what happens now? That MMF gives you 13,000 a month. Okay? Now, let me ask a question. Your money is growing at a rate of 13,000 per month, and this money is also growing at a rate of 1,300 per month. You 10 times more than this individual. Therefore, and that's why you find most of the people be like, oh my goodness, I threw 1,000 in a money market fund. It is actually giving birth to only 1 shilling, 2 shilling in a day. I feel like I'm doing nothing. True, you may feel like, hey, this money is not giving you that what you expected. It is not really yielding that amount that maybe how Joseph used to portray it or something of sort. But the point is because you do not have the money to leverage on that. See, when you do not have the money, and I want you to get this correctly. See, if you do not have more money to leverage, then what you do, you leverage on time. See, the only thing that can actually take you to this point is time. It's no longer money. There's someone, I actually have a friend of mine who, you know, I mean, he's the one who taught me how this MMF works. You know, for those who have ever met physically, I've ever given this example. The guy told me, the guy drives a Toyota Land Cruiser, they're commonly known as V8. That's what we call them here in Kenya anyway. So the guy, I asked the guy, I mean, driving this car all the way from Nairobi to Mombasa, that's like 460 something kilometers. I mean, this thing will gobble down like 20 G's or something. He said, yeah, sure, but I ain't gonna use my money. I was like, yeah, how do you gonna do that? He said, you know, wait and see. The guy go with it around, I don't know, 15 million or something. He threw it in a money market fund for the period of 2 weeks. Whatever that amount of money is yielding per day was equivalent or more than what he needed to fuel that car to and fro to that particular distance. So he didn't use his money. He leveraged on the money that he had. So if you had like 100 G's, you can't do that because you don't have the money. See, when you have the money, you can leverage. And actually, that is the point number 3. When that amount of money you have it, you can actually do what we call the leverage. What is to leverage? To leverage is like taking care and taking advantage of that what you have, and you can make more out of it. See, now when we talk about a million, gives you 13,000 a month, and you're not eating this 13,000, you're still plowing it back. If you give this person 3-4 years, that will be a whole of a different case scenario, because you can be able to leverage, because you can be able to earn more and accumulate more. Then when you have more, then of course you'll make more, and when you have more, then you'll make most. I don't know what most money is, but I'm just using the comparative and superlatives and win to explain my point. So the point is, the moment you have more, or like a million or something, it gives you that level. For example, let's assume you're not even going to the investment with MMF and what have you. Let's say you are in, you're selling a product. Let's say you're buying a product at, let's just pick that product in Kenya that is really consumed. Let's talk of sugar, okay? Let's talk of sugar. Sugar in Kenya right now, again, I'm making this video in January of 2024. The sugar right now is around 7,200 a bag of 50 kgs. 7,200, that's like, for the sake of my international viewers, 7,200, that's like $70, something, not less than $70, $60, $65-ish or something there. Now, when you have this amount of money, so what you can do, and I'm telling you things that I used to do, and I can still do anyway. See, what happens is that when you have this money, and this is how the sugar is, and of course you realize that the sugar is about to be scarce or something like that. When the sugar is a bit scarce, you find that it can actually go an upward trajectory. So what happens, you can actually decide to leverage on the amount of money that you have. See, now you can do this. You can buy that sugar at the current price of 7,200. You kind of, I don't want to use the term hold, but allow me to use that term for the sake of my explanation. You hold that sugar, and then the scarce kicks in. You find the sugar has actually appreciated all the way, say, to 7,600. So it's appreciated with 400. Now, what happens, because you want to liquidate this thing as fast as you can decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to liquidate that mine at 7,400. Are we together? 7,400. See, now you are 200 below the normal price. That means you're gonna be competitive. Now, what happens? You can actually see, meaning you're making only 200 per bag. Are we together? Now, a million, with this amount of money, a million will get you, say, around 140 bags. So if it gets you 140 bags, so that means you can actually multiply by 200 and you make that amount of money. You can do the calculation by yourself. But this guy, if he was to buy the same sugar, you find like you're buying less number of bags. So therefore, if you have less number of bags, you can't speak the language of selling that sugar at 7,400. Probably you're going to speak the language of the current price of 7,600, which you're selling like everyone else. So people don't have a reason to buy from you. They can still stick to where they used to buy because the same price, the same thing. So rather even buy. You get what I'm saying? So you can leverage on them. You can even find somebody who is actually buying at 72 and selling at 73. Is only making 100 shilling difference when that sugar is around 76. Even those who are selling it also wholesale can even buy from you. Come on, you get what I'm saying? See, when you have the money, when you have this a million, it actually gives you the power to leverage and be able to make more out of that. And that makes, by the way, I came to realize one thing. The moment you have more money, well, again, more money depends with you. I mean, my more money may be not your more money or someone else's money. So whatever the more money means to you, see, when you have that, what more money means to you, you find that you can actually, you tend to even take less riskier decisions. What am I saying? You see, it is risky to buy at 7,200 and wait to sell it at 7,600 because this price can actually go down to 7,500, isn't it? But when you're buying it at 73, 7,200, then the moment it hits 75, 76, you sell yours at 73. So you're making 100, and of course, others are actually up by 400 or 300 or something also. It means that you become more competitive. And that is why we had a problem here in Kenya. Gonna mention, we had our beautiful and wonderful Chinese came in Kenya and opened a certain store. They call it China Square. And they were selling those things that they are sold by normal Kenyans here. And they were selling things at a very, 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 very affordable price. I don't want to use the term cheap. Why? I don't know much, but I think maybe they had some connections with the factory, so they were getting things directly from the industry to the retailers. Can you imagine that? To people who are buying in retail capacity. And of course, you can't compete with that guy because they can leverage on the pricing. And it had some issues. The government had to intervene and tell them, hey, you know what, guys, you either meet the normal pricing in the market. And anyway, you get what I'm trying to mean, okay? I'm going to the last point. Now, this one is quite interesting. When you have money, the moment you hit a million, there's something else that happens with you. And what is it? Money. I want you to hear this correctly. Money works harder than you. Okay? Money works harder than you. What does that mean? Do you know the situation where you work harder than the money, and then there's a situation where the money works harder than you? See, when you're buying, I'm gonna still go back and borrow that example of 7,200. See, when you're buying at 7,200, you're selling at 73. You're not straining. You're not there bargaining. Oh my goodness, you know what? Okay, the current price is 7,600. Okay, I'm gonna sell it at 7,400, 550. So I'm gonna give you that discount of 50. So like, you get what I'm saying? You're really trying as much as you can to siphon, if I may use the term, to siphon much from that particular deal that you're getting yourself into. But when you have cash, you're like, you know what? Yeah, sure. I mean, you can even sell to the wholesalers who sell to other wholesalers who sell to the retailers. So that means that you are up there on the chain of should I say the business or production or whatever the thing it is. So it becomes a situation whereby now the money works harder. For example, say you take that a million, through it in an MMF, gives you 13,000 in a month or 12,000 in a month. Guess what? I mean, money is working harder than you. You are sleeping, but money is doing something here. You actually, other people are the one that actually, okay, fine, the money itself can't work harder than, there are people behind that money that is working harder than you. So it becomes lesser and lesser. See, money is actually accumulation of people's time and energy. See, when you have a lot of money by yourself, you accumulate people's time and energy because people tend to trade their time and energy to get the money. So when you have a lot of it, so they need the money, so they trade their time. So their time is your time. So you can take their time and the energy to do what you want. That means that you're buying off the time. Okay, we're going to talk about that much, but it's a bit complicated. So now what happens is that money works harder than you, and when the money works harder than you, that's when now you can be able to embark on doing the things that you are called for. That's when we say you can have back your time and you can explore your hobbies, you can explore whatever. That's you find somebody. I love watching somebody called Richard Branson. I think he's the owner of the Virgin Island or something. So he's a Briton. The guy, I think the guy has explored this world. You find that the companies are making money. He's somewhere, diving in skydiving, somewhere. I mean, it's you're having your own time doing other things while money is just kicking in, and you're seated, say, in a beach, relaxing on, sunbathing, and you see some messages coming in. Tang tang tang, you have received. Tang tang tang, you have received. Tang tang, you have received. it's so sweet and nice, but that happens only first you embark on creating structures and complex structure that will actually work for you by the time now you get into that particular thing we call financial freedom. Anyway, that's good, Joseph. Anyway, that's exactly what happens when you hit a million mark. Then, would you love to hit that a million? Absolutely. If you do, then embark on investing completely. This is Good Joseph. If you need my services in one way or the other, you can pick that number of mine from the description of this particular video. And let's talk business for now. So goodbye and see you the next time.